Next, we will look at the list data structure. Data structures. We'll look at the data structures. As part of the data structures, first we will take a look at the list. So how do we define a list in Python? Okay, so you need to use square bracket. To define a list, you need to use the, one second, I'm getting a call from office. Okay, I'm back. So list, we will start with, as part of the data structures, we will explore what is list is all about. What is a list? List is nothing but you can place the sequence of values inside the square bracket. Okay, it is just like a dynamically sized arrays. So like in other languages, C++ and Java, right? In Java we use something like array list. And in simple term, right, it is dynamically sized arrays. Lists are nothing but the dynamically sized arrays, and you can assign more than one value to a variable using list. List is mutable. You need to, when it comes to list, you need to remember list is mutable, which means you can modify the values once you store it in your list. That is possible. Okay, and let me do one thing. L1 is equivalent to square bracket 10 comma 20, 30 comma 40. This is how you can define a list. Square bracket. Inside the square bracket, you can specify more than one value, and then if you want to check whether L1 is a list data type or what data type, you can use type function. Using type function, you can find out what type of the variable is all about. So the L1 in this case is a list data type. Okay, and if you want to see the values that are stored in a list, simply type L1 and hit run. You can see the values stored in the list L1 is L1 or 10, 30, 40. Okay, here I can use the print function also. For example, print the new line, a list of values in L1, yes, print L1. So if you want to print the list of elements, next line, so that's why I used new line. First press enter, leave one blank space, and then you type this one. Okay, you can do this one. And before we proceed further, I just want to tell you one more thing. So we already defined a variable called A. A is holding this one, and what is B? I just click B is of Java. So the variable A and B. Okay, is there any way if I can copy the value of variable A to another variable? How do I do that? C equal to A. If I C equal to welcome to the world, okay, and what is the value of A? So the value of the variable A, we can copy it to another variable. The same way you can copy the content of a list to another list. So they call us how to clone a list, which means how to copy a list to another list. So I say L is equal to L1, and then print L, type L. Look here. Now the newly, the new variable L became a list, because on the right side of the assignment operator, I have mentioned the previously created list L1 here. So all the values of the list L1 got copied to the variable L. Now L become a list data structure. You can just verify that by using type function list. So like how we use the index to slice the values or take only the specific portion of the values from a string. The same method we use it to slice the values from your list. So what is the value? What are the values are there in list? I want to select only 30. How can I do that? You can use a square bracket. In the square bracket, you need to specify index value. This is 0th position for the index value. The first position of the index 1 contains 30, index 2 contains, or index 2 points to the value 40. Okay, so L of 1 will return 30. This is how you can fetch the specific value from a list. And if I want to select the range of specific value, you need to use colon, start, end. You remember how we used it in string the same way. For example, if I say 0 colon 2, 0 colon 2, if I say 1030. So 2 is, as I told, right, 0 1 2, 0 1 2, but you need to exclude the n minus 1. You need to remember this. L start colon end minus 1. Whenever you use the colon represents range of values, but when you use the range of values, the n minus 1. Okay, you need to keep that in mind while fetching the value, the values that you are interested. Okay, so this is how we can fetch the values. The step function, the step, right, that is also possible. For example, if I want to say 10, 40. First to print this one and then skip this one and print the next one, 40, 10, 40. Okay. And if I want to know the length of the list, see, in this case oddly we have 3 values. Okay, and I'm going to put some more value, 50, 60, 100, 150. Right, so if the list has more number of values, and if you want to find out the length of the list, this list L1 holds 7 values in it, 2, 4, 6, 7, right? That is what it shows here. And the next thing is, what are the other things we can do it with list? Okay, for example, I just copy and paste it here. You can have more than one data type. You can store multiple data types in a list. For example, here if I say Raj, Mahesh, it is possible, right? This is a list data type. You can specify multiple data types in a list. But if you specify different data types in a list, still if you type of this, what data type this L1 is, it will still show list. Whereas when you define a variable, for example, s equal to Raj, and if you want to find out the data type, string data type. Even though you can store multiple data type in a list, if you use the type function to check what data type the list is, still it will show list only. It will not show string or number data type. Okay. And is it possible to concatenate one list with another list? So we have a list already called 10, 30, 40. So can I use L plus L1? Can I combine these two things? What is happening here? 10, 30, 40 and 10, 30, 40, 50, 6, 40, right? So we are able to combine these two values into a single thing, but it has a duplicate values. Let it be there. Okay. And next one is we will see how we can add values into list one after another. Okay, for example, I'm going to say list is equivalent to blank square bracket. That means this list is a list data type, and if you want to see the type of this one, this is another way of defining a list. But this is a blank list. Look here, now the list is list data type. Even if you specify blank space on the right side, the left side of the variable will become a list automatically, but it will have a blank value in it. Initially it has a blank value in it. If I want to add value to this blank list, so what is my list name now? It is list, right? So you have an append function. So I want to append 100 list dot append 200, something like that. So now 100 and 200, these two values got inserted into my newly created blank list, right? So to check that type list, yes, now the list, the blank list got filled with these two values. Using append function, you can append the values more than one time. Okay, and also we have another approach. Instead of, let's say I want to insert 500 values, right, or a range of some values. Let's say you want to insert the values from 1 to 100. So you list append 1, list append 2, list append 3. Likewise, you need to type 100 times. 1 to 100, if you want to insert it into a blank list, you need to type 100 times. So that is not the right way of doing it. There is a shortcut for this. You can use for loop, for I in range. There is a function called range. Let's say 1 to 100 if I want to insert it, and my newly created list was list dot append of I. So what will happen is, it will generate, the range function will generate the values from 1 to 100. I'll just show you that one first, and then we will come back here. So range 1, 100. So but here if you want to see it, all the values list, you need to put the range function inside the list function. Look here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 100 values, 99 values. Yeah, here also n minus 1. If you want to print 100 values, 101, you need to use it. Starting from first value to 100 values got generated with this one, right? That is the functionality of this one. I just go in here. I'm going to say 101 list append I. So if I use list here now, if I see the value stored in list, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 100. The previously we have insert 100 and 200, right? So that is also there. So along with this, the range of values got inserted. If you don't want the previous values, what you do is you can simply initialize this now. Initialize this, and then you execute this one. So what I do is I just bring this just beneath this, and then if I type list, it will show only the 1 to 100 values. So now I inserted the values 1 to 100 in my list. If I want to see the number of values stored in the list, len function, you can use len function. Okay, the next thing is, so we have L is holding this one and L1 is holding this value. Can I create a list with another list? Can I embed a list as part of a list? Yes, that is also possible. For example, I'm going to create L2 is equivalent to L. L is the list, we already created it. Along with that, I'm going to say 50, 60, 70. Can a list have another list as part of it? Yes, that is also possible. The L is already a list, right? Instead of typing 10, 30, 40, I simply made this L as part of this new list L2. Along with that, I can put other values also. If I want to access the first value, right, in this list L2, which index value should I use it? 0. But if I use 0, it gives me the entire values of your list L. Okay, now L2 of 1, tell me what will happen, what value will be written? 50. This is index value. The entire list L will be considered as for this entire list, the index value is 0. Index 1 points to 50, value 50. Index 2 points to 60. That's what we can make out from this. Now the question is, okay, in this first index 0, can I retrieve 30? To access this first list, entire list value, you use 0, right? 0th index having a list itself. So hence it displays. But I want only the 30 from this. How do I do this one? So I'm going to create another thing here. So L2 of 0, 1. You need to specify like this. Look here. Within this list, I want to access the second element. The 0th one will give me the entire list. Within this list, I need this one, this value. So again, you can specify another index value. Got it? So now hope you understood how we can access the elements from the list, how we can okay, now negative indexing. How can we do the negative indexing? For example, my L2 comma -1, negative indexing is also possible. It is applicable here also. Okay, how do I reverse my list? Simple, there is a function called reverse function. L2 dot reverse, and then type L2. Look here, all the value got reversed now. And is there any way if I can remove a value from a list? Yes, that is also possible. L2 dot remove the 0. Okay, I don't want the list to be part of my list list L. I don't want to be part of my list L2. I'm going to remove that. X not in list. Okay, the value I need to specify. Okay, here I need to specify the value as it is. Yes. See, in this case, the syntax is you need to specify the value itself. For example, to understand it better, remove. If I want to remove 70 from my list, you need to specify the value directly there. 60, 50. So you can reverse a list, you can remove a value from a list, you can append the value into a list, and we have something else called pop function. Okay, pop function also will remove the values from a list. L2 dot pop. Okay, now first of all we'll see how many values are 60, 50, right? L2 dot pop okay, so here you need to specify the this one index value. Now L2 is holding only the 60. So the index value, since I mentioned 1, it removed the value that was pointed by this address, the index 1, right? So the 50 got removed. We are left with only 1. Using pop function also, we can remove the value from a list, but when you use pop function, you need to specify the index value, whereas in the case of remove function, you can specify the value directly there. Okay, what else we can, and we have something called list comprehension. This is one of the important concepts. With this, I'm going to wrap up the session. List comprehension. For example, I want to generate the values between 1 to 10 Okay, and for that I'm going to say list comp cmp, okay, is equivalent to, in the square bracket, inside the square bracket I'm going to say for a in range of 1 comma 11 list cmp. Okay, here what I'm going for a in, you need to specify the expression, otherwise it will not work for a in list comprehension. Look here. So here what is the syntax here? The syntax for the list. I'll tell you what is the advantage. It is a beautiful one, okay, beautiful feature. Here into the syntax is expression of element for element in range. Okay, range. You can use if condition also. Okay, you can use if condition also. Can we use two comments at a time, like reverse and remove? What do you mean by two comments at a time, like reverse and remove? What do you mean by comments? Sumiti? Can we use two comments at a time, like reverse and remove? Oh, you want to use two commands at a time, like reverse and remove? Now, what is the purpose? See, reverse is to reverse the values. If you have 1, 2, 3, 4, if you want to display it 4, 3, 2, you can use it. Okay, but these two are different. These two things are different. Reverse is very simple. You don't need to have comments at a time. Like, I did not get what you're trying to say. Let me unmute you and let me see. Allow participants to unmute. Can you tell me what you're trying to say here, Smriti? I unmuted you. I did not get what you are trying to say. Can we use two comments at a time? Comments or commands? See, reverse is different, remove is different. Reverse is to reverse the values. Instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, if you want to print it 4, 3, 2, 1, you can use reverse. Remove is to remove specific value from a list. Okay, that is what the difference between these two. Can we use two comments at a time, like reverse and remove? No, it is not a comments, it's a commands. Okay, maybe you wrongly typed it. I did not get what you're saying. So here, this is the range of values, right? You can store it in list. Okay, so this is the range of values. You can store it. See, here I have used the append function. How many of you remember this? If you want to insert 100 values starting from 1 to 100 into a list, new list. I want to create a new list. In that list, I want to insert the values starting from 1 to 100. So how did we do that? We have used append for loop, right? Instead we used append, and then append was not much efficient, because if you want to insert the values from 1 to 100 sequentially, 1, 2, 3 up to 100, so you need to type append 100 times. It is a time taking process. Instead, we have used the range function, right, using which we are able to insert it. But when you use a range function, what happens is, see, I just combine all these things because these are all relevant to this one. I just remove this one. If I want to insert values 1 to 100, I need to write 3 lines of code. The same thing what I am going to do is, using list comprehension, I can do it in a single line. I can do it single line. So for example, here if I say 101, see how many lines of code is required? Only one line of code, right? With just only one line of code, I am able to insert the values starting from 1 to 100 sequentially with the list comprehension. But without list comprehension, you require 3 lines of code. First, you need to create a list with you need to initialize a list with blank thing like square bracket, and then you need to use list.append, and you need to pass this element to this list, so one after another it will get inserted, right? So 3 lines of code, but here only with list comprehension all you need is just only 1 line of code. So list comprehensions are basically used for creating new lists from other iterables like tuples, strings. Also you can use it, right? The list comprehension consists of brackets, so it contains the expression. So this is a kind of expression. For example, other advantage of this one is generate the values 1 to 100, but each and every value needs to be added by 100. So here simply you put in the expression, you put a plus 100. So for each and for every value is generated between 1 to 100, you need to add 100 to each and every value. For example, 1 plus 100 is 101, 2 plus 100 is 102. If you want to store it like this, you can do it. While you generate the value, right? So while you generate the value on the fly, you can do the transformation also. So you just converted 1 as 101, 2 as 102. That is this kind of a transformation. You can do transformation while generating the value itself, right? So all these things are possible in single line. So whereas here you need to, what you need to do is I plus 100, you need to specify it in this case. In this case also, 1 second, and the next one is list to see the value. So this is another way of doing it. Here you need to put it like this, but here you need 3 lines of code, but whereas here you just need to have only 1 line of code. That is more than sufficient. And also if you want to square the value, you can square it, right? So how do I square the values? A into A. Each and every value. 1 into 1 is 1, 2 into 2 is 4, and 3 into, if you want to square it, you can square it. If you want to add any value, you can add it. You can do all kind of transformation with this one. And also if you want to print only the odd values, you want to store only the odd values into your list, generate the values 1 to 100 and store only the odd values, but store only. Here what you know is if a percentage divided modulo, percentage is your modulo, the remainder is equal to 1, that is your, the remainder is equal to 0. In the case of modulus, we know very well in school time, right? So if you divide any value and if you get the remainder is 0, that means, right, that is your even number. If it is non-zero value, then it is a odd. Look here, 1, 9, 25. If you want to store the odd numbers, right, you can generate the odd numbers like this. Okay, you can store it this way. So here I mentioned a into a, that's why it is causing confusion. So here 1, 3, 5, 7 up to 100, 99, right, up to 99 it generated the values, odd values. So more than one arithmetic operation, you can do it, but you can use a function. See, the he has asked a good question, Gilbert. So his question is here, I have used a into a or a plus 100. Can I use complex expression here? You can use it, but you need to use a function. You need to create your own function. That function you can implement all your logic, and then you can specify that function name here, so that each and every value will get passed to this function, and then that function, whatever the logic you specify, based on which the data will get transformed. I am yet to start the function, user defined function. In tomorrow's session, if possible, we will start the function also, how to create a function, and I will give you a demo. Okay. So as of now, remember what is list comprehension, how to define a list comprehension, and I will share this script also to you all. You can try it out. Okay. And then append function, right? So, and we have something called remove function. We have seen it, pop function. If I want to clear the value from a list in one go, how do I do that? So for example, L2 is holding 60, and list CMP is holding how many values? So many values are there. If I want to clear it, how do I do that? Sorry, here list CMP, I just removed it. Okay, list CMP. Oh, okay, spelling, the syntax, sorry, the case sensitive, right? List CMP. If I want to clear the values of this one, dot clear you can specify, dot clear you can specify, and you can use, you can see list CMP. So all the values got removed from your list. Okay, another thing is we have seen, let's say, I just quickly wrap up this one. A equal to 10 comma 20, 30 comma 40, and B is equivalent to 40 comma 50 comma 90. Okay, what I do is I'm going to create a new list by copying the value from my list A to C, and if I want to print, the C is also holding 10 comma 30 comma 40. If I change the value of, can I modify the values of list? That is also possible. So instead of 10, I'm going to specify 100. So the first element, okay, instead of 10, the 10 got overwritten by 100. We have seen everything, but we did not see how to modify the values in the list. So that's why list is called as mutable. You can modify the values. The first value you can modify by. So if I modify the first value in my list C as 100, does this affects my other list? Because A is also, right, we copied A into C, right? So A also got changed. A also got changed. Is there any way? See, I just copied the values of the list of values of A into C, but right, though I made a change, modified the values into C, the modified value also reflect in my parent list, right? So how do I prevent this one? Okay, so I just execute it one more time. I'm going to skip this step, and sorry, here what I do is A dot copy. I just use a function called A dot copy. Okay, now what I do is, if I assign the value C of I wanted to assign the value 100 to the first index, so the 10 will become 100. Yes, but does this affects my value in A? No, right? Look, this is called your shallow copy. I don't want my list A's values to be affected when I make changes to my list C. How do they, using which you can do it? This is also an important thing. You remember it. Okay, you just start practice it. Okay. And we have seen reverse, many things, right? Fine. So with this, I'm going to wrap up, guys. Today I took 1.5 hours time. It is not, please practice whatever I share it with you in the interest of you. Okay. Fine. Any questions so far in today's session? You have any questions? Okay, since you don't have any questions, I'm going to wrap up the session now, and we will circle back same time tomorrow. Okay, see you all tomorrow. Okay.